Welcome back to the Momentum Sports Podcast. Derek, walk us through what's going on in the Pac 12.
Well, we have some problems here. They have not really done much since they grabbed Boise State and San Diego State, all those teams from the Mountain West. They tried to add on UTSA, Memphis. If I can, let me see what other teams they're trying to grab. But anyways, Memphis, UTSA, they all rejected. They're worth about 7 million over at the American with TV values. So it makes no sense why these four teams over at the American rejected the Pac-12. Who's supposed to bring in 8 to 15 million? First of all, American has more teams, so the split's going to be smaller. You go
Mm-hmm.
with American, you go with the Pac-12, you're gonna have a bigger split. That's what it is. That's what you get. You know, look, they added a basketball powerhouse team in Gonzaga, but
Yep.
they're not football. Now you just need to go after teams like Texas State. Texas State
Mm-hmm.
is they lost last week. We'll put it there. They lost last week to State Michigan State. It was a high scoring game. You'll find out Texas State doesn't have much of defense. They got a hell of an offense.
Mm-hmm.
But they did lose. Now, Texas State was good last year. Now they're doing great this year. They're probably going to win the Sun Belt.
Right.
JMU's not going to beat them. I don't think they will. So it's going to come down. You want which teams do you want? Do you want a losing record team, or do you want somebody like Texas State, who I highly think is going to be good in the Sun Belt? You
Yeah.
bring that to the Pac-12, you're going to have some competition. Yes, it's not going to be the SEC. It's not going to be the Big 12, and or the
Big
ACC
10.
or Big 10.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely not Big 10 or Pac-12, but yeah,
Right.
you need to bring these teams in so you get to start somewhere. 8 to
Mm.
15 million. Come on.
Right. I mean, that does
So
seem like a pretty big difference of guesstimation there from 8 to 15 million. That's almost double where um, the the other contracts, they're more specific. They have a more specific number in mind, don't they? Like the range is not as high.
well, that's 7 million for American. They're still going to get at least a million more.
Mm.
You know, the
Oh,
Mountain
that's true.
West.
Yeah.
Actually, the Mountain West is 7 million. I'm staying corrected. Mountain West is 7 million. The
Mm-hmm.
American 6 million. The Sun Belt's 2 million. So Texas State wants to come over.
Right.
And UT El Paso's they're looking at adding them. If you're
So
going to add El Paso,
so
that's
did
Texas
the
State.
the teams that rejected the offer, are they all from the American?
Yes, they're all from the American,
Okay.
but this is
And
such a big conference.
hmm, that is weird. It's going to be interesting to see who else gets that invitation and if they even get to 12. How many teams are in there now with Boise and Gonzaga?
So, well, they added it to make it 7, I think.
Okay.
And they have added Gonzaga, so that's 8, but still 7 football teams.
Are they
You
trying
need
to
at
get
least
to
8.
12? Do you know?
I think they're trying to get to qualifying, and that's 10.
Okay.
You need
Mm,
10 teams. That's what I believe. I believe it's 10 teams.
okay.
If I'm wrong, let me know.
Okay.
But yeah,
Okay. I think I heard that number too. And then that
hmm
qualifies them as being a conference, and then they can compete as in um having a conference in the playoff. So or
yes,
as a conference contender in the playoff selection.
that's, that's correct. If you know what, here's another one. Notre Dame needs to get into a
Mm,
conference. Okay, Notre Dame needs to get in a conference. They're hurting themselves making a playoff by not being a part of a conference. If you don't want to be part of the ACC of football, then leave.
yeah.
Go somewhere else. ACC sucks.
Are
Go to the Pac-12.
is Notre
Start
Dame
your own name
really
brand.
do you think Notre Dame is actually hurting themselves by not being in a conference because they can still get in the playoff with one loss? I don't think they'll
Yeah,
get in
well,
with two, but they can get in with one.
they've always hurt themselves by not being in a conference for the longest. Their chances of getting to the national title game has always hurt them being outside a conference because they're not playing for a conference championship. You know, that's the big
Yeah,
thing when it comes to the committee. They want
in
a
the
conference
selection.
champion. Yeah, but now
Mhm.
that we expand it, it's still going to hurt them.
I
They'll
don't
get
think so
in.
though. Ohio State's made it in, I think, twice after not even being in the conference championship.
Well, here's the thing: Ohio State is part of a conference too, playing some really good teams. When you're Notre Dame, you can't really schedule those teams year in year out.
They have a decent schedule though. I mean, they played
You
no or who was it? A&M. They played A&M at the beginning of the year. They'll play
know,
Louisville. Or no, they just played Louisville. My bad.
they beat
Um,
they beat Louisville.
right. Yeah, they beat Louisville. So that's a decent resume like that. If you can win everything else, um, you can get in. I think that they have uh one more good game. I'll have to pull up their schedule. But
They got UNC.
oh, yes, that's
They
correct. See, so like
they got
if they win those games, they're in.
it's if USC doesn't lose again. They got Navy. They got Army. But you know what? Navy and Army are not always going to be undefeated every year.
Right.
You know, one
Right.
loss and that sucks. You
Yeah.
know,
Okay.
but
Have they gotten an invite that you know of, Notre Dame?
I'm pretty sure there's a lot of discussions about inviting them to their two people's conferences, but
Mhm.
they like their TV deal. They have a TV deal.
Yeah.
You know what? You go to the Pac-12. They're desperate. You can bring that TV deal back over there. You know, and dealing with ESPN. I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure it's an ESPN deal.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. The Pac-12 trying to figure it out. Um, that's going to be cool to see Boise State in there. I think Boise State has been one of those programs that they've been on the outside looking in for a while. And um, I mean, I think that they may even have a shot to still get in this thing if they win out. But
Mm-hmm.
that will be kind of interesting. Is UNLV? Did you say they've been contacted?
UNLV was contacted, but they said no.
They said
They didn't
no.
want
They
to
were
join.
one of the teams that said no. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. We'll have to keep an eye on that and see what happens. But yeah, as of the latest news, Gonzaga is now part of it, and like Derek said, that's a basketball school. So, um, for football, it's it's not helping them much. But if they were to land like a Notre Dame, I wonder if that would trickle down to now more schools are going to start accepting. Maybe there's a fear that there's not going to be a big name in this conference. And that's what they want.
Yeah.
They want at least one big name in there. And if you could land a Notre Dame or a Florida State, something like that, that would be a way to really boost your conference reputation.
Mm-hmm.
In this episode, Derek and I are going to be discussing our reactions to the Virginia Tech and Miami football game, where a deep pass into the end zone to win the game for Virginia Tech was then changed after being reviewed. Derek, what were your initial thoughts when the ball was thrown and it was caught, and then the officials came out and said that it's a touchdown? And then when they were going into that review, were you thinking to yourself, this is going to get overturned? The call will stand? Or what did you think was going to happen from seeing the replay and knowing the call on the field here? That's the key part of this. The call on the field. What were you thinking?
Oh man. Here's the thing. They said incomplete, which was totally wrong. But the point is, it doesn't matter if it was incomplete. What the announcers did not show was the fact that when the ball was juggling around on top of the Miami player,
Mm-hmm.
you know, at the end after Virginia Tech tried to catch it,
Yeah.
you know, It rolled on the body of the Miami player before the Virginia Tech grabbed it off his belly. Well, guess what? Here's a little rule that everybody should know. When your buddy is touching any part of the out of bounds and it was clearly visible his body was touching the out of bounds, part of his body was in bounds and part of his shoulder was out of bounds, clearly touching
Yeah.
out of bounds. As the ball is laying on his stomach, the the ball is out of bounds. It would have been over no matter what. So there's
So I
still
think
is
you're
a
getting
controversy.
I think you're getting it flipped around. Virginia Tech is the one who caught the ball, and then Miami is the one who pulled it out.
Yeah, but the thing is, Miami was on the ground.
Yeah, and then they pulled it
Who-
out after the receiver was on the ground. So the receiver went up for it, pulled it down, and then from the ground, the Miami players punched it out of there. And the controversy is that the Virginia Tech guy had the ball with him, but whenever he was on the ground, it got punched out. But the replay, you can't see who's touching the ball, who's grabbing it, and that's
He
what
was.
ends up happening.
I know what you're talking about, and I know you're saying that. But the point is, I saw that. I saw that the ball. He had it, but he didn't have full in there. When you come down, you have to have
Yeah.
control. He did not have control. You know, and it got loose. It landed on the belly. They called it incomplete at that point, but the ball was still alive. So if the ball was still alive, like it should
Why
have
would it
been,
still
because
be alive?
why? Because it was rolling on the belly of Miami. It never touched the ground.
Okay. So you're saying
Yes,
that the ball was moving around on the way while he was coming down, the ball was still moving.
once it got knocked out, it kind of rolled on the body of the Miami guy laying
Yeah.
down, and he went and grabbed it again, and it still was a catch. But the body was actually, his body was actually out of bounds. So clearly, it was laying on his belly, rolling a little bit, clearly stating that it's out of bounds because of that
Mm,
body part. You can't. Yeah, there it was. It wasn't going to go Virginia Tech's way, no matter what.
mm. Okay,
Yeah.
that's interesting because I I understand how people may have thought that the ball was rolling around, but to be honest, like you couldn't see anything. You really could not tell if the ball was loose or not, in my opinion. And the fact that the call on the field was a catch, that was not definitive enough for me. If I was a Virginia Tech fan, I'd be really upset and go like, "How can you that's not enough proof that that ball was incomplete." I think it should have been a stands kind of situation, not confirmed,
Mhm.
not changed, but stands because like you could not see what was going on, and when you cannot see what's going on, it's always been stick with the call on the field.
See, here's the thing: the highlight I saw, because I was watching one of those videos, because I was driving back from Houston,
Yeah.
and the only way I could watch it was watch one of those videos where they show the highlight, the game, like they fast forward and got to the main parts. And what
Yeah.
I saw was a Miami player on the ground. So I don't know how the announcer called it, and you're saying it was incomplete. I think he was calling it was incomplete because it was on the Miami player's body. That's what I think.
No, no, no. The refs said that it was complete. It was a touchdown on the field.
Yeah, because it was, and if you watch it, you clearly see the
Virginia
ball on
Tech
the.
touchdown.
Yeah, if you watch it, it's clear on the Miami player's body, never touching the ground. And then they grabbed it and kept control of it, Virginia Tech. That's where I believe it's called a complete pass. But as the review is going on, and I don't know what the announcer was going off, but I think the main point was the body being out of bounds is the reason why it was called incomplete.
Yeah, but the the what the Virginia Tech player is the one that went up for it and came down with it. The Miami
That's
players
correct.
took it away from him after he was on the ground.
And I want you to watch that video again and look at it closely. You see the ball rolling on the guy.
After it's on the ground. You can
No, it
catch a
never touched.
ball You can catch a ball and then it pops out after you're already on the ground, and it's still a catch in today's day and age.
Well, let me see here.
I mean,
It,
that's what I saw.
I'm,
Now in both of our defenses here, it's hard to see what's going on. Like it really is. It's hard to see what's going on this.
I'm, I'm looking at it right now. He
Yeah.
jumps up, he grabs it, he's coming
Right.
down in slow
Yes.
motion.
Yep.
All right. It
Yes.
never touches the ground. All of a sudden, it's bobbling in his hands, and it bobbles
After
between
the
legs.
ground.
No, it never touched the ground once.
No,
It's
I'm
the
talking about
bob.
his body. His body, when his body
Oh yeah,
touches
yeah,
the ground.
yeah, yeah.
When his
That's
body
correct.
touches the ground, then the ball pops out.
Yeah, and the
So wouldn't that be
ball
a
was still.
catch?
Yeah, if the Miami player wasn't touching, it wasn't out of bounds.
No, it's not the Miami player. It's the Virginia
You're
Tech
not
player.
seeing what I'm watching right now. The
I
body.
know. I watched it like 3 times
Okay,
before we're
okay.
recording this.
They grab it. It comes
You know
down.
what? I'm gonna pull it up now
All
too.
right. It comes down, grabs it, and all of a sudden it's bobbling. It's all over the body. Right. It never touches the ground. All right. It lays on the Miami player's knee. That's what I just saw. Knee. And then the Miami player is out of bounds. And uh, uh, then he finally grabs it off his knee and holds on to it firm. But the body being out of bounds means he's out of bounds. It has nothing to do with anything
so
of being touching the ground.
so two players can be touching the ball at the same time. One can be out and one cannot be, and that does not make the ball out. If the player that's out of bounds is the first one that touches the ball, that's out of bounds. But if the or I keep accidentally trying to say West Virginia, if the Virginia Tech guy touches the ball first and is coming down with it, even if a guy who's out of bounds is touching it, that's not out of bounds
Yeah,
because it's in
it's
the
rolling.
possession of the other guy.
It's not in
So
possession of the other guy anymore.
but here's the thing: we can't tell. You can't see it.
I can see it
I'm
clearly.
just saying. So look, I see the ball come out after both players are on the ground. That means that there has possibly been a catch, and now the ball is just jammed out. It's like catching the ball and somebody punches it out. That is still a catch. That's not an incomplete pass, and that's why I'm
Just
saying, like, what I'm saying is it
I,
should have stood.
I know. I understand what you're saying, but it definitely doesn't stand because he didn't have control of it as he was coming down.
But you can't see it.
Yes, you can. You'd see in the video.
I'm looking at it right now, and I gotta be honest with you, I can barely see
Well,
anything in there. All I see is a Virginia Tech hand, and then a Miami hand comes in there late.
you know what? The three things that refs look at when considering a ball is complete.
Yeah,
Does he have a catch? Is one. Does he maintain possession of it? Is two. And when he goes down, does he maintain possession on the collision going down? Because he didn't establish himself. He established himself when he was going to the ground. He did not maintain possession as he went down to the ground. So therefore, it's incomplete. But technically, it never hit the ground. It just bobbled all over the bodies of the players and bobbled on the knee of the Miami player that was on the out of bounds. That's where the
yeah,
incomplete comes in.
yeah. I mean, I can see it. The issue that I have is not if I had to look at that replay without a call on the field. I would say that's an incomplete pass. The issue that I
Yeah.
have with this is that it was ruled a complete pass, and you're supposed to, unless if there's without a doubt evidence that the call was wrong. But that blurry video to me is not without a doubt. Now, am I saying 70% no catch? Yes, but that's not 95%, 100% no catch. Maybe it is to you. To me, whenever I see that, I can barely see what's going on. So if you can barely see what's going on, why change the call?
Yeah. I saw a clear
All
incomplete.
right, we may just have to. I mean, I do think that most likely, yes, it was an incomplete pass. I can see that maybe the ball was bobbling, but I really can't at the same time. I kind of can only see it because people are telling me it's bobbling. But whenever I'm looking at it and I'm looking at it 5, 10 times in a row, I still can barely see what's going on, which would make me make me think, don't you just go with what the call was on the field? But um, I mean, I guess that's what everybody's kind of arguing with on that. But
Mhm.
all right, well, I guess we'll move on from this one. Yeah, it ended up being called incomplete. Um, if you got give y'all's thoughts down below what you think of it. If you thought that it was a catch, not a catch, and then also if you guys think that the call on the field should have been called the touchdown stands rather than gotten reversed. It'd be interesting to read some of those comments. So please comment down below. Derek, let's talk about those Alabama Crimson Tide football players.
Well, we learned a lot from this game, and I know a lot of other teams are going to take from it what they learned from here and
Mm-hmm.
hope to use it against Alabama and against Georgia. One thing we know, Alabama knows how to start out great, and they
Yep.
did start out great. But
Mm-hmm.
one thing Georgia knows how to do is to finish. And if it wasn't for them being so far behind, they would have finished. Georgia,
Dude, you
that was
cannot
ridiculous.
say you cannot say that Georgia knows how to finish if they lost.
It's too far away. The only reason I know Georgia didn't finish because the stupid quarterback threw up the ball and the damn receiver didn't fight for it. He just sat
Yeah,
there. Oh,
exactly.
you're gonna
Exactly.
receive
They
that.
couldn't finish.
Yeah, no, but the thing is, it was 41-34. The game was 28-0 before Georgia started doing something. It ended up being like 28-9 in the first half. Now the second half is when everything changed because in the third quarter, the only thing Alabama did was score three, and Georgia
Yeah.
scored nine more. Oh, actually,
Yeah.
eight more. Yeah, eight more. Because didn't they get a safety on Alabama?
Alabama got it. I don't know about the second half, but Alabama in the first half got a safety. I was driving
Okay,
back home on the second
okay,
half, and then I missed some of it.
that's where it was. Okay, Alabama got the safety, but Georgia
Mm-hmm.
had 8 points in the third, 3 points for Alabama. Georgia
Mm-hmm.
started to make a run, but it wasn't until the fourth. Fourth is where Georgia started doing something.
Yeah.
This is where I saw Georgia with 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yep.
First play, launching it into the end zone, touchdown. With about 2 minutes and 15 seconds. You know what Alabama does? Let's go real quick and leave like 2 minutes and 10 seconds left for Georgia. Yeah, that's stupid. Because guess what? Georgia has three timeouts. Georgia has a 2 minute warning, and they all day. Now they can run down the clock. That's exactly
Mm-hmm.
what they did. They went and ran all the way down the field, up to 20 yards to go to the end zone. And what did they do? Oh, that's right. Beck decides to lob it up to a receiver, thinking they can get a mismatch with a freshman who is 17 years old. Well, this freshman is actually really good. We just saw it this game. It is what it is. But you know what? Here's the one thing I really hate about Georgia's receiver. What the hell are you doing? Are you trying to catch midair? I mean, the guy is clearly about to catch the ball in front of you. You're up there like, oh, oh, okay. I'm gonna let you grab the ball. I'm not going to try to at least make the effort and reach to try to be the defender this time to keep you from screwing us over and losing this game. I'm going to give us a shot for three more shots to get this at least a first
I
down.
mean,
You
the
know,
ball was underthrown.
it was, but you still, if you're really a champion, you will find a way. The receiver didn't play like a champion. He didn't get right on defense on that sucker because he wasn't getting on offense. You should have known that. You thought he was going to get it, but he didn't. Guess what? You lost because you made the mistake. I think is a big mistake.
Yeah.
Is oh yeah, yes, 100% that was a mistake by the receiver. He should at least try to fight for it, but he didn't. It is what he
Yeah.
is. That's my take.
Yeah. Hey man, it was crazy. It was interesting seeing them come out hot like that, Alabama, and then everybody was talking all sorts of stuff about Georgia. And I'm sitting with my family there. I'm texting friends and I'm like, guys, this game is not over. Let's pump the brakes here. Yes, Alabama looks dominant right now, but this game ain't over. I've seen stuff like this happen before. I watched a good number of Washington games last year, and Kalen DeBoer is notorious from letting other teams come back when they're up 2 or 3 scores. In fact, Eric, you may remember one of those big games that Washington was up 2 or 3 scores on and let it let the other team come back in a couple minutes. And I'm talking about Texas, where and that wasn't
Um,
the only game. That wasn't the only game that this has happened. This happened against Oregon, Oregon State. And then in Texas, same thing where Washington seems to would they would let the other team come back and then they would finish the game by crushing that team's dreams. So it's
but you
really
know what?
interesting. He did the same
But you
thing at
know what?
Alabama. Hmm.
This is Alabama and Georgia, not Texas, Washington. That was
I know,
last
but
year. This is
it's something I'm telling you, it's not going to be the last time. You're going to see Alabama be up by a good amount, and against good teams, they're going to let them come back. But then Alabama will finish the game. That's just how DeBoer teams do it.
yeah. I saw Alabama slipping up in the second half, and they just got lucky because a freshman who's 17 years old, actually showed his potential. That's why. If it wasn't for him, they were screwed. Georgia was
I'm just
rolling
telling
on
you,
them.
don't be surprised if Alabama blows a big lead and then still wins the game.
Georgia caught on, and you know what? A lot of things got exposed to Alabama, and a lot of teams are going to see that, and they're going to try to take advantage of it.
We'll see.
Hmm.
But how do you think that this changes the Texas Georgia matchup? Do you think that now, in my opinion, Georgia now has its back against the wall, and coming into Austin, they're a lot more dangerous now because they've had that loss. They had that close win, that scare at Kentucky, and then now they actually took a loss here, where now their back is against the wall. How do you think that they make the adjustments coming into Austin next?
Okay, the one thing Georgia has the advantage of is Texas is playing Oklahoma right before this game.
Yep.
But here's the
And
thing. Here's the thing about Oklahoma. They got a great defense. Texas is going to learn to play against a great defense to get ready for that Georgia game. And they're going to go and play Georgia at Texas, and they're going to beat them. I don't see Georgia. I think Georgia's screwed. I think Georgia loses 2 games in the season. We haven't seen that in a long time. Texas is really good, not on just defense, but on offense.
by
There's
the
no
way,
way.
real quick,
Yeah. Hmm.
Georgia plays at Ole Miss and
Oh,
at
shit.
home against Tennessee.
Yeah, well, Ole Miss sucks right now. I'm sorry. They haven't
Well,
played
we,
anybody.
we
The one
don't
they
know. We don't know. It's early. You know, every team has a game that they don't look as they should, and some learn from it and some don't. So we're gonna see. I would not discount Ole Miss just yet. I think that Kentucky caught him sleeping.
no, no, that's not happening. And speaking of, let's finish this thing off and let's go right into that game. First of all, I don't see Alabama winning the SEC. They're a fraud. They're not a number one team. Texas is the number one team. It's just a matter of time when Texas plays OU and Georgia win those 2 games. All of a sudden, Texas is right back on top. You know what? And then Texas is going to play Alabama. Everybody's going to say, "Oh, Alabama could beat Texas." Well, Texas is going to remind Alabama in the SEC championship because we all know it's going to meet up between them two, and they're
Hmm.
going to beat them just like they did last year. At least this time's on a neutral field, and we're just going to make it worse.
So Alabama has some interesting games. They go to Vanderbilt. then they host South Carolina, and then they go to Tennessee. Then they come back and host Missouri. Then they go to LSU. Then they get a nice break against Mercer. Then they go to Oklahoma, and then they finish the season off against Auburn. Very, very interesting. If Alabama is a fraud, we're going to see it in the next 3 to 4 weeks.
Against
And
Tennessee,
if they don't lose, if they beat Tennessee and Missouri and LSU, you better take that fraud talk back, because
I'm
you're gonna see it in the next 4 to 6 weeks of whether or not Alabama is a fraud, and it's gonna start in 3 weeks against Tennessee.
no, they're gonna beat all those teams because Tennessee's quarterback is an iffy quarterback. It's all know you
Tennessee is
game.
number 4 right now,
I
and it's
I,
at Tennessee. You don't think
I think
Neyland's gonna be packed? Neyland's gonna
I
be
think
packed.
Tennessee's overrated. Once they get in the playoffs, they're gonna lose in the first round. Just watch.
Mm.
You know, once Alabama gets in the playoffs, they'll move on. Georgia gets in the playoffs, they'll move on. Texas get in the playoffs, they'll move on. You know, it depends if who's what seed, who's going where. You know, but when it comes to Tennessee, they'll be out real quick. Their quarterback is an iffy quarterback. It reminds me of that Razorback quarterback. You know.
Mm. He's probably a little bit better than him, but
Yeah. Well, not everybody can be VY, right?
yeah. All right. Well, let's go to the next one. Let's go to that OU game. Since OU and
OU
Texas
game.
are going to be playing in 2 weeks, um, let's kind of talk about how Texas and OU have looked in their most recent games.
Well, Texas didn't have a good game, you know, but Texas. Rich Manning had a good game. He played a lot better than he did last week.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's a good thing that comes out of it. But it's a wholly different, quarterback. We're going to have Quint Ewers back for Oklahoma, so it's
Is he going to be
irrelevant.
back?
Oh yeah, 100% going to be back. You think
So, do you
Sarkisian?
do you think he keeps the starting position?
100%
Okay.
because he's projected to be a top 5 pick in the NFL draft.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you? Yeah, he's going after this year,
Well,
and I
so is
think
Arch.
Sarkisian. Arch ain't going. Arch is not even qualified to go.
Yeah,
Even if
yeah,
he
I know,
wanted
but I
to,
mean, but he is projected to, when he does, be, number one probably.
well, he ain't leaving.
Yeah.
He already came out and said he doesn't want to leave when he says he wants the full experience. He wants to be there until he graduates. So
That's what
he
Trevor
will.
Lawrence said too.
Yeah, well, that's Trevor Lawrence. This is Manny. He actually has money.
Yeah.
Trevor
Well, that
Lawrence
was
didn't have
also
money.
that was also before NIL, so um
Hmm. Well,
yeah.
you take advantage of all the money you're going to make in the NIL because you'll make it in the NFL. Or you
Yeah.
might not make it in the NFL. It depends how you do. But at least you got this guaranteed contract. To all these people are either going on the hype or it's real. So
Right.
he's taking advantage of it. You know, your uncles have been there. They're letting you know. Take advantage of this opportunity
Mhm.
to learn. They're telling him that, and he said that I am not going to leave anytime soon. That's exactly what he said. But we go to
Yeah.
this Auburn Oklahoma game,
Isn't that
and
also
we're
what
like,
the Texas A&M baseball coach said?
uh, Texas A&M baseball coach. Well,
Yeah.
play Texas A&M. We're not talking about baseball. It's
Yeah, well, but
football.
but but that's
What?
exactly what he said, that he wasn't going anywhere for a long time, and then the next day he took another job at Texas.
Yeah, but this difference is Texas has better facilities than Texas A&M. And here,
Yeah, yeah,
what money?
but he said that he wasn't going anywhere.
That's his problem. That's the coach.
I'm just joking. Derek, what did you think of OU? Do you think OU
Oh,
has
you
a
know,
has a shot?
no, they don't have a shot. I mean, that defense is good, but that offense still doesn't click. It showed clearly that offense is still lagging behind. You score 7 points and you're like, okay, we're good. And you don't score any points for the rest of the half, and Auburn scores 14. and you get 3 points in the third.
Yeah.
They probably did step up in the fourth, and probably because they wore down the Auburn offense or Auburn defense. I mean, and they got something going because that defense is really good. Oh, it helps a lot. I didn't see all Auburn ever winning this game, anyways. But this should have been a close game. It should have been won by 14 or more. They didn't do that. So it is what it is. Because we all know who got the interception. Auburn threw an interception.
Yeah.
Oklahoma didn't throw an interception. I don't even think Oklahoma had any fumbles. If you think about it. So yeah.
Um. Did they didn't have any fumbles? Is that what you said?
I think that's it, but I'm not sure. I mean, I can look at their team stats.
No, they
God,
they did not. Auburn had one turnover, and that's
that was
pretty
an
much
intercept.
what. Yep. It's wild to look at
Mhm.
these games and the results and see that almost always the team that has more turnovers is the one that loses.
Yeah, but
So
time possession went Auburn's favor, but still, that defense, man, get the
yeah,
interception changes everything.
everything. And I'll say this too. I mean, it does definitely look like if you look at total yards, Auburn had 482 and Oklahoma had 291. Auburn had 338 passing yards on this Oklahoma defense. Oklahoma could only put 161 passing yards. Um,
Mhm.
Really, really interesting. And Auburn also outrushed them 144 to 130. So Auburn should be really disappointed that they did not win this football game. And again, we're looking at turnovers here. Turnovers are the name of the game here. Do not turn the ball over. If you turn the ball over, you're probably going to lose. So,
Mhm.
really interesting seeing that. Um, I will say this 2 weeks ago, just thinking about the OU Texas game, I would have said I'm almost 90%, 95% sure that Texas is going to win this game. Texas had they looked like they came back down to earth last week. I'm not saying that they looked bad or anything, but they looked more human, and that
Well,
was interesting to see. I think OU may in this rivalry too. The team that is the higher or I guess lower ranked, as in um, just
what are you,
ranked up
what are you
higher
talking about?
usually wins this game.
What are you talking about? The defense is what it makes Texas. The offense is not fully there. You got Arch Manning, who's a redshirt freshman. Quinn Ewers is not even in there, so they're not going to have the full capability of the offense that they usually do. Yes, Arch Manning's great. He's learning. He's going to get even better. But it's the defense. Mississippi State only scored two field goals until the fourth quarter when Texas gave up and decided to give them a touchdown. Okay, Texas started out slow. That's it. It is what it is. It's what they get
Yeah,
seven the first,
I
seven the
know, but
second.
but what I'm saying is that Texas did definitely make some mistakes, and we can pull this up. Um, and again, turnovers is the name of the game. If OU is able to force turnovers on Texas, and Texas will give turnovers, um, OU has a shot of winning that football game. And before this week, or as in like a couple weeks ago, I didn't think that OU had a shot. But now that I've been seeing some of these recent games, like let's look here at the turnovers. So Texas had 2 fumbles in this game.
Mm-hmm.
No interceptions, but 2 fumbles. That's not Arch Manning. Arch Manning
Yeah.
wasn't the one fumbling.
How many times
So,
did they punt? How many times did
um,
how many times did
I don't see that
Texas
on
punt?
here. I don't see
They're-
that on here, but what I'm getting at is that if Texas fumbles the ball against OU, that could change the outcome of the game. Um, it will be interesting. Yes, I would lean towards Texas, maybe even a hard lean. Like, I think that Texas is the better team, but with these rivalry games, we also thought that Texas would have smoked them last year, and they didn't.
that
So
was last year.
Well, I'm just
We learn
saying,
from
like
our mistakes.
the team that's not ranked as high, um, you know, they're the ones in this matchup that usually comes up on top. The underdog. The underdog in this matchup is usually the one that comes up on top because then one side is bragging so much because they think that they're going to win that the other team comes out swinging and whoops them. So,
All right. Well, here's the thing. Texas defense is dominating. Mississippi State had the most possessions. Mississippi State had the least turnovers. But guess what? Texas defense rules them all. It says right here,
I mean,
49
Mississippi
tackles.
State, they don't have much of an offense.
Yeah, but
I mean,
that's the
they
thing.
could only put up 17 on Toledo. They put
Yeah,
up
I understand
17 on
that.
Toledo. They put up 13 on Texas at Austin. Um, they put up 23 against Arizona State. They put up 7 against Eastern Kentucky. Oh no, that was a win. Sorry, I was about to say, whoa, 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 what? But you know, they put up 28 on Florida. This is not a very good offense. So I wouldn't, Now, again, this doesn't say a lot about Texas either. It just showed that Texas came down to earth a little bit. I don't think it means Texas is bad or anything. I do still think that Texas is legit, but it was interesting to see Texas fumble the ball a couple times. It was interesting to see that a Mississippi State team that is not very good was in this game in Texas's first ever SEC game. You would have thought that they would have come out with a little bit more excitement for that game. Um, that to me is what was interesting about this matchup that made me see Texas as being a little bit more human. And as we get through the season, it's at this halfway point that things really start changing. Teams start seeing more and more of your film. They know your tendencies, they know what you're trying to do, and it gets harder and harder to be that dominant team.
Here's the thing. I want to tell you this. No college football team is going to be perfect. But that
Yeah.
Alabama Georgia game, they were perfect. That was the highest ceiling of them. Texas was there at their highest ceiling this game. It is what it is. It happens to every team. Georgia did the same thing in Kentucky. If you're not playing at the top of your ceiling, you're not going to do it. Why
Yeah.
not play your top of your ceiling against Mississippi State and play your top of the ceiling against Georgia and Oklahoma? You
Mm-hmm.
know, any team can lose. I can tell you this right now. Texas could lose to Georgia if they're not playing their best. But I think Texas best beats Georgia's best. I think Texas best
I know you
beats
do.
Alabama's best. Oh,
I
I
know you
know,
do.
and I'm 100%. Here's one thing I am confident in. I think Texas goes undefeated this season. They go undefeated before the playoffs. They go undefeated before the SEC championship. That will happen. No one's being. Once you get past Oklahoma, once you get past Georgia,
Yeah.
it's
I
all
will say
downhill from there.
this. It's not that outlandish to think because you only have 3 ranked teams left on your schedule.
I mean, look,
And
Arkansas, I thought they were going to be great, but you know what? They suck. Guess what? Texas get the
yeah,
revenge.
maybe,
A&M, I thought they were going to be good, but no, they suck too. Guess what? Texas A&M is going to get their butts whooped in Aggieland.
maybe.
No, it's fact.
I don't know.
Fact.
I wouldn't start counting your chickens just yet, but
I'm
um,
100% believe it's fact. A&M
all
hasn't
right.
shown me anything to prove that they could beat Texas at the way Texas played against Mississippi State. I think the way Texas played against Mississippi State will still beat A&M, will still beat Arkansas. Will it be Oklahoma? Maybe. Will it be Georgia? No. But Texas' highest ceiling is better than Georgia's highest ceiling. I 100% believe that.
That's only because Georgia has a tougher schedule. If you look at Georgia
So
again, Georgia has to go to Texas. They have to go to Ole Miss. They host Tennessee. Um, they had to go to Alabama. I mean, these are not tough game or these are not easy games. So,
I think
but we'll
I
just
think
see how
Texas has.
everything. We'll know a lot about a lot of these teams in the next 3 weeks. That's whenever things start getting more interesting. We really don't know what we don't know. So
Yep.
today we're going to talk about Florida and those Gators. Um, all right, Derek, this is Napier's third year, I believe, and he, the Gators host UCF this weekend. If UCF blows them out, and then they have to go to Tennessee after that, they then host Kentucky, then they host Georgia, then they go to Texas, then they host LSU, then they host Ole Miss, and then they go to Florida State. what 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 game does Florida let this go to start a coaching search, if any? And we're not calling for anybody's head here. We're just talking for discussion here about what we don't have a horse in this race. We're just kind of discussing it, kind of seeing what may happen. What do you think about this situation, Derek?
Guy's been here for 3 years. I'm calling for his head right now. I don't know about you, but I'm calling
Easy
for his
now,
head right
Derek.
now. He
Easy
loses to
now.
UCF. The only reason his head's not going to be called, because it's already called, I guarantee you they're going to fire him right after the end of the season, no matter if he wins out. I guess
Yeah.
that's the only way he's saying if he wins out, then that'd be great. But he has one SEC loss, one SEC win. He can technically win out, beat all these top teams, and all of a sudden make the SEC championship. And that's the only reason he would keep his job. But that's not going to happen. He's going to lose UCF. UCF has a great team. Tennessee is going to beat them, even though their quarterback is wishy-washy right now. Kentucky's defense is going to roll tide over them. Yes, I said roll tide because guess what? Alabama wish they had a defense like Kentucky. No, I'm just joking. Kentucky does not have, but no, Kentucky's going to beat Florida, so they're already going to lose. Then they're going to be like, should we fire him right now, or should we hand the reins? No, nobody wants the reins going against Georgia Tech, LSU, Ole Miss. 4 games in a row of games that they're going to get demolished. No, they're going to let them ride out, make him look a little better, convince themselves a little bit longer why they should fire him. He's going to lose 4 of those games. And guess what? At least he'll say, you know what? I'll let you stay against Florida State because if you lose that game, you ain't getting a job nowhere because they're going to beat Florida State. That's the last game he's going to ever play it at Florida, coach at Florida, and he's out. He's better off being an assistant coach. But you better not lose to Florida State because if you lose to Florida State, there's a JV squad out there in high school that wants you.
Hmm. I'm kind of wondering if it's after Tennessee or after Texas. I think it may happen after an away game because those home games, you're not going to sell any tickets. If you can bring in an interim that can bring some sort of excitement, you can get more ticket sales to those home games. Um, that's kind of what I think may happen. But I could also see, like you said, I think the decision is already made to let go of Billy. The question here is when. And I do kind of wonder if it's like after an away game blowout just to try to bring in some sort of home crowd.
Yeah,
But
actually,
maybe
but
not.
yeah, but anyways, Florida sucks. I mean, it's all,
Easy now,
I mean,
Derek.
could
Easy.
go all day with this, but there's not
Man,
really a good
Florida,
thing.
I
There's
hope
not.
you guys go into Austin and teach this guy a lesson after a comment like that.
It's not going to happen because they're not really a good team in the state of Florida. Miami's not that good. I don't know
Hmm.
why Miami's winning because they playing crap teams. You know, they play Florida. Okay, one
Yeah.
other crap team. You know, and then there are crap ranked teams in that conference too. So
Yeah.
UCF, I guarantee you, UCF beats Miami. Okay, that's how bad I think
That will
Miami
be
is.
interesting. I don't know if
Yeah,
that happens, but
well,
that
they
that
don't
will be
play, so it'll never
interesting.
happen.
Oh,
They'll
they
never
don't
have because
play. Oh, okay.
no, no.
Florida's the one that plays UCF, but Miami does have some games that they can drop. I mean, they may even drop one this weekend. Um, but I guess with that being said, we can kind of hop into our predictions for this coming week and kind of keep an eye on what's going on at Florida because it is interesting. Again, I'm interested to see if they make a change at the end of a away game just to try to bring a home crowd in for the remainder of the season. So,
Yeah,
all right.
yeah.
Get ready for these fire picks that we're going to have for college football's top 25 matchups. Derek, are you ready for these takes?
I am ready.
All right. Let's start with Oregon and Michigan State. Oregon is a 23-point favorite. They're at home. To me, I just don't I I see Oregon running over these boys. So I don't think
Mhm.
that there's much to say about it. Michigan State had
Yeah,
trouble at home against Ohio State. Oregon's just gonna, torch them. I think.
I think so too. I think Oregon got it. This is no, yeah, no way Oregon loses this. It's too easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So Syracuse at UNLV. This one is kind of interesting. UNLV is undefeated, and UNLV will be playing Boise State later this year. So
Mhm.
if UNLV can stay undefeated, they're playing a contender for that playoff spot in Boise State. If they can beat Syracuse and Oregon State, those are going to be some of their big matchups coming up. Um, so yeah, let's definitely keep an eye on this. Kyle McCord, he's at Syracuse right now, former 5-star that went to Ohio State and transferred last year. So
Mhm.
to me, this is interesting. Um, I do think that UNLV closes us out, but I think that it's going to be close, and I think Syracuse will beat the spread. So Syracuse plus 6.5 on this one.
Yeah, I don't see Syracuse winning this. UNLV is actually going to win this. They lost their quarterback, but they actually were better without that starting quarterback. They're
Yeah.
actually even better with this new quarterback.
Yeah.
No way Syracuse is winning this. No, UNLV goes 5-0. They get ready to play Boise State, and they lose that one. That's what I
And
think.
do they beat the spread? Six and a
I think
half?
uh, I think UNLV wins by 14.
Wow. Derek with the bold
Yeah,
takes.
yeah.
Whoa. All
Should never went to
right.
Syracuse.
Yeah. All right, Penn State hosting UCLA. I don't think there's much to say here. UCLA has been struggling. Penn State is at home. I think that they're just going to be too much for UCLA to handle, and Penn State is going to be practicing their offense on them.
Yep, Penn State wins. Penn State gets over 47.5. I believe that.
Hmm.
Yep, Penn State for the win.
All right, this one big SEC matchup here. The Texas A&M Aggies are home against the Missouri Tigers. Um, A&M, after a rough first start, has kind of gotten it back together. They host Missouri, who's been struggling the last couple weeks. A&M is favored by 2.5. For me, I think Missouri wakes up on this one. There's a lot of talk dissing Missouri, saying that they ain't it. I think Missouri's hearing it, and I think Missouri has more experience. And I think because of that, Missouri's going to come into Kyle Field and they're going to beat the Aggies.
You know what? I have to say this is actually going to be a lot closer game than you think. Missouri, I thought they were great. I thought they were going to win the national title. What the hell, Missouri? You know, you're not doing that. You didn't get three shutouts in a row. But we all
Yeah.
know Texas A&M. It's in Aggieland. Guess what? Texas A&M gets a crowd. Ain't called 12th man for nothing. You know what's
Hmm.
going to happen? Missouri knows his 12th man very well. They have in the Big 12, they have in the SEC. And they're going to hear this 12th man roar, roar, roar really loud. Let's go, Aggies. That's the only time you're going to hear me say that. I'm a Longhorn fan.
Oh,
This is the
wow.
last time you'll hear me. But here's the
All
thing:
right.
my cousin's an Aggie fan, and I'm going on her side. I think A&M wins. I think A&M wins. They bounced back from last week. They get better this week and they improve as they go. Missouri starts slumping, they get their first loss, and now it's 4-1 Missouri, 5-1 Texas A&M.
Interesting. I wonder where Missouri is going to drop after that if that happens. Because A&M would have
Mm-hmm.
to be one spot in front of them, and A&M is 25, Missouri is 9.
Not
So,
necessarily. Well, it would be like A&M would go to like 19, Missouri would go to 20.
yeah. Yeah, I know, but they're number 9. That would be a huge drop. So that will
Mm-hmm.
be interesting if A&M does win that, what kind of happens with the rankings. Let's go to the next game here. We've got Louisville hosting SMU. Very interesting matchup. Louisville went to Notre Dame last week and lost by 7. And
Mm-hmm.
SMU just beat the brakes off of Florida State last weekend. That's not saying a whole lot, but I guess it is if you're SMU. This is going to be a really interesting matchup. Louisville is favored by 7. For me, I've got to take the home team on this one. But I think anything could happen. But I'm going to take the home team, but to +7 SMU.
Mm-hmm. You know what? 9 times out of 10, Louisville wins this game, but not this game. No, it's not happening.
Whoa.
No,
All
it's not.
right.
I think SMU plays at their silly, and not every week you can play at your silly, but I think they play at their silly. They beat Louisville by 1 or 2 points.
Mm-hmm.
I think Louisville sees this game as a pushover game, and that's what hurts them in the end. So yeah, SMU is not a pushover team. They're actually a pretty good team. Not a pretty good team as a top 25 team, but they're pretty good enough to shock a top 22 team.
All
So
right.
there's my take. Yes.
He's taking SMU, guys. Taking
Yep.
SMU.
I put my
All
bold
right.
pick out there.
All right. That's your bold pick? Is that what you said?
That's bold pick. I said 9 times out of 10 to leave a win, but this is
All
at one
right.
out of 10.
He's taking 1 out of 10 on this one. All right.
Mm-hmm.
We got Ohio State hosting Iowa. It's the same story for Iowa. No offense this year. I think Ohio State is going to start out a little slow, and then they're going to start cooking by the end of the game, and they're going to beat this spread of 20.5 points in a pretty
Mm-hmm.
big victory.
Well, I wouldn't say they don't have offense. They did go on and beat Illinois State 40-zip. They went on and beat Minnesota 31-14. They beat Troy 38-21. They have offense to score that many points. So I mean, I'm not saying they're not going to win. I said they do have some offense. I don't see them putting up 40, 30, or 31 points. I
No.
see it more like just slightly less than the Iowa State, maybe like 14 points. I still think that's going to happen. But I see Ohio State just stacking up like 45, 49 points. It'd be 49-14, something like that. So Ohio State for the win above their spread.
All right. So this one's an interesting matchup. It's another SEC matchup. Auburn at Georgia. Georgia is favored by 24. I think that Auburn is going to come in and beat the spread here. I don't think they're going to win the game, but they're Georgia to me. I would be very surprised if they beat Auburn this bad by 24 points. Auburn does show up for this game. Hugh Freeze is in a interesting position where he desperately needs a win. Um, Most people do not think that Hugh Freeze is on the hot seat yet. However, if he keeps getting losses, that could soon change. I know it's against Georgia, but still, a loss is gonna, especially if you get blown out, that's gonna really hurt. It's gonna hurt the locker room, and it's gonna hurt any momentum you have moving forward to games that that you had more of a shot of winning that maybe would be in the bag normally. A blowout loss in this situation could really change a season. And I think that it's important that Auburn beats this spread. If anything, they make it a close game, even in a loss. But I think they come out swinging and they beat the 24-point spread.
Interesting. Interesting. But here's the thing. Here's the thing what you don't know. Didn't Georgia go start losing to Alabama and they were down like 28-0? Did that happen? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Georgia doesn't want that to happen again. Not against an Auburn team. No, they're over here to start a restart. They said they want to continue what they did in the second half and bring it to Auburn. They want to show they not only can be a second half team, but a first half team. Auburn, I'm sorry, but this is like the worst time you want to play Georgia. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. Georgia's going to win this. Georgia's going to dominate. Georgia's going to stop them. And Auburn's probably not even get 10 points. Georgia, 48. Auburn, 9.
Mm. You're just
It's
confident
it's
in Georgia because they're
it,
on
it,
Texas's schedule.
it has nothing to do with that. It just happens to be they're going to get run or they're going to run their butts off, and they
All
don't want
right.
that again. Yeah,
Now we'll see. You also thought that they were going to do that to Alabama. Um,
well, it is what it is. Alabama's high seven.
well, we'll see what happens. This is going to be another SEC interesting matchups. A lot of really good SEC games coming up this weekend. Ole Miss going to South Carolina. Mississippi is favored by 9. To me, this is really interesting. South Carolina is not a bad team. They should have beaten LSU. I know if you should have won, you would have won and all that.
Mhm.
Shout out to Josh Pate. But you need in this one, I'm not confident enough in Ole Miss to win by 2 scores on the road. And South Carolina um, beat the crap out of the team that just went into Oxford. South Carolina beat Kentucky 31-6. Very interesting. I'm
Mm,
going to take the Gamecocks +9. I don't know if they close this game. Um, it's I would not be too surprised if South Carolina won, but I'm more expecting South Carolina has a lead or it's a close game till the end and Ole Miss wins a close one. That's kind of my guess on the outcome of this one, but I do think that South Carolina +9 is the way to go on this one.
yeah. Well, here's the thing. South Carolina is a lot better, I think, than the record is. I think they
Mhm.
beat Ole Miss. I know Ole Miss was not the powerhouse offense I thought they were. They're playing chump teams now. They're in the SEC. Well, I want to hear that talk about how great the SEC is because I've been hearing that for the longest. SEC is so great. SEC is this. SEC is that. Well, guess what? We're about to see it right here because Ole Miss, they might be 4-1, but that often sucks when they actually play a real defense. And I think South Carolina pulls off this win. There's no way Ole Miss wins this game. South
What
Carolina wins this game by 3 or 4 points. That's what I believe. I just don't see it. Ole Miss is not the team. They are a fraud.
what
I should have
Hey
said they're a
Derek.
fraud from the beginning.
Derek,
What?
what defense did Ole Miss lose to?
What defense did Ole Miss lose to? Kentucky.
An SEC defense.
Yeah, they lost to Kentucky. They've been
Mhm.
playing SEC, but they've been playing chump teams. Come on, Wake Forest was like their best team, and they're not even that great. I mean,
Yeah.
Georgia Southern.
Yeah,
It,
there's a possibility that that game was a fluke. Hats off
yeah,
to Kentucky for winning that game though, 100%. It was awesome watching it. But
there's no.
don't close the door on Ole Miss just yet. Let's wait and see what happens. Even though I do have it being a close game, I do think that Ole Miss will win this game. Um, and I'm sorry, are you picking Ole Miss to win this game?
Oh no, no. Here's the thing. That Kentucky game was not a fluke. Kentucky's proved it against Georgia. Kentucky proved it against Ole Miss. They have
Mm-hmm.
legitimate defense. They just need to work on that offense. South Carolina has a legitimate defense. They're going to stop Ole Miss. They're going to beat Ole Miss. South Carolina
Yeah.
wins this by 3 or 4 points,
Okay.
and that's not a bold move.
That
That's
would
just
be
showing.
really interesting. If that happens, that would be really interesting.
Ole
And
Miss was all hype.
in another segment, we were talking about the Florida coaching situation over there. If Ole Miss starts losing games, that open job in Florida for Lane Kiffin looks more and more like a possibility. So that's another thing to kind of keep an eye on.
Yep.
All right, Indiana going to Northwestern. Indiana's looking really good. I can't wait to see them play real competition in the Big Ten. They're favored by 14. I'm going to stick with that. I like Indiana winning by 14 or more against Northwestern.
Yeah, Indiana's a clear cut win.
Hmm.
Indiana's proved against Nebraska, and Indiana's going to prove it against Northwestern. So yeah, I got Indiana winning this game.
So here's another SEC matchup that normally you would not look at twice, but Vanderbilt hosting Alabama. And the reason that I think that this may be a more interesting game than it looks is Vanderbilt has actually played very competitive in all of their games. They went on the road and beat Virginia Tech, a Virginia Tech team that should have beaten Miami, and in some people's eyes did beat Miami. Um, we also did a segment on that if you guys want to check that out. And going on the road to Missouri forced that Missouri team to overtime. They had a close loss at Georgia State because of what Alabama did on against Georgia last Saturday, and what I said seems to be a consistent thing with Kalen DeBoer teams. And even regardless if this happens, he still wins. So this isn't really a bad thing. It's just kind of a roller coaster. But um, I think that Alabama leads the game, and they start letting the pedal off or they start letting go of the pedal a little bit, and Vanderbilt comes back and makes it a close game and beats the 23-point spread. I'm taking Vanderbilt at home plus 23.
Didn't you see the last game against Georgia? Didn't you see the new favorite for the Heisman, Milroy?
Milrow.
Milrow, where were you? Milrow, okay, Milrow. Didn't you see him? He was electrifying. He
Hmm.
dominated. He's taking this and putting it over there. You're moving the block and you're putting it over there. That's all you're doing. That's all it takes. Milroy. I
Milrow.
okay, I'm gonna call him Milroy. Row. Milrow. I row your boat. Milrow. Okay, well, he's gonna row his boat over there, and he's gonna be a lot more dominating against Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's gonna wish they didn't play Alabama because you know what? Milrow is playing like a Heisman winner right now. He's going to capitalize on that again. He's going to dominate. He's going to run all over them. He might not do it. He might deceive with that. They're going to be open spaces downfield. He's either throwing it or he's running it. One or the other,
Hmm.
and they're not going to know what's going to come. If it's light on the front end and heavy on the back end, guess what? He's running. If it's heavy on the front end and light on the back end, he's passing. Vanderbilt has no shot. This is a 30 point win or more.
All
Alabama to
right.
win it.
Milrow, row your boat.
Yeah, roll right through Vanderbilt. That's what he's going to do.
All right, we got Clemson heading to Florida State. I think Clemson. Actually, you know what? I think Florida State is going to beat the spread here, 14 and a half. I'm going to take Florida State plus 14 and a half. This is a rivalry game. I think Florida State's going to wake up for this. Excuse me. It's at home. I think that Florida State is going to compete here in this game. I don't think that they're going to win. I think Clemson will win this game, but I think that Florida State will give them a ball game, and plus 14 and a half is my pick.
Hey, man. I'm praying for you, man, because what the hell are you talking about? Are you out of your mind? Are you completely out of your mind? This is Florida State, man. They don't have that quarterback they had last year. They're shit. They have nothing against Clemson. There's no way Clemson's losing this game. What? Okay, let me go down the line. Georgia Tech lost. Boston College lost. Memphis lost. Okay, SMU beat the crap out of them. You say that Clemson, number 15 Clemson, is going to uh, 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 have a close game like that against Florida State. It's not happening. The spread is actually, you know what? The spread is not where I would put it. I say 21-point spread. Florida State gets beat down. Another reason why that coach is going. Goodbye. Go on. You didn't do crap with that quarterback. You're not a good coach. You're not a good coach because guess what? When you lost your best players, you didn't learn capitalize on that. You showed a weak team.
Hmm.
You need to be a better coach a better game because you're not doing it. Yes, and I hope you're watching this. Goodbye. You're getting fired. You can
Oh,
hope make it through the
easy
whole
now,
season.
Derek. Easy
Yes,
now. Easy.
Clemson's demolished.
Man, these
Clemson's
picks
the
have
that's the Clemson's
these picks have
the team
woken
I
up,
think.
Derek. Derek, you're
But the
woken up,
Clemson,
man. You're
no, no,
erupting.
Clemson. Clemson's the one team I believe is the most dominant team in the ACC. Miami's not going to beat
Yeah.
Clemson. Clemson's going to beat Miami. That's what I think, and that's my
Yeah, I do
take.
too. I agree with you. Um, on Clemson beating Miami. So Boise State hosting Utah. Not going to spend too much time on this one. I think Utah is going to run these. Or sorry,
No,
Boise State hosting Utah State. Boise State's going to run these boys. They have a Heisman contender at running back. He looks really good. And it's at the blue field. I think that Boise is going to take care of business here. They're going to beat that spread minus 21. 27, minus 27.
yep, easy going. Boise State wins. There's nothing. There's no. The spread's right. They're going.
All righty. Another SEC matchup here. We've got Tennessee going to Fayetteville, Arkansas. Tennessee is favored by 13. After watching Arkansas A&M, my preseason or my prediction for that game was that A&M was going to win a close game because I have not seen Arkansas be competitive enough to win these one-score games. Arkansas loses they are now in that matchup against A&M 1-12 in Arlington in the South since A&M has joined the SEC. So I think that they took a hit from their confidence, and this could be the beginning of the end for Sam Pittman, unfortunately. My prediction is that this game could get ugly and that we are going to see the backup quarterback at Arkansas enter the game, not because of an injury, but because of a possible blowout. And I do think I'm not hoping that this happens as an Arkansas fan, as some of you guys know I am. I want Arkansas to come out swinging, and I want them to change the narrative around there. But I think Tennessee is going to come in with a bunch of offense, and I do think that this may be the beginning of the end for Arkansas. They have a big stretch coming through, and yeah, this one's going to be tough. Tennessee minus 13.
All right, all right. I see where you're going with this. Hey, I'm going to tell you where I'm going with this. Tennessee's still a fraud. Tennessee's a fraud ever since they play Oklahoma. That quarterback's the main reason they're a fraud. Okay, that quarterback needs to turn things around, and I'll see him turning around against Arkansas. Do I see him winning? Yes, I see Tennessee winning. But I see it as a close game, so I'm going to jinx Tennessee. I'm going to say Tennessee wins by barely in a close game, hoping that Arkansas will pull this off. But you never know. I hope Arkansas wins. I don't see it happening, but I see Tennessee winning by 3 because that quarterback is a fraud.
All right. Well, I hope the same thing. I hope the Hogs whoop them, but
You
if I have
just
to
changed your
lean,
team. They're not winning.
I've got to be neutral on here, and I've got to take Tennessee minus 13. Um,
Hmm.
I got to stay neutral for the people. So with that being said, we've got Michigan going to Washington. This is really interesting. Washington is favored by 2.5 points. Michigan, number 10 Michigan, on the road to a mid-major Washington team is not favored. Why is Michigan number 10 in the nation if they are not favored on the road? Michigan is a bunch of frauds. I do think that they actually do win this game, but it's saying a lot that they are not favored in this matchup to me. And again, Washington has not done anything special. If you look at their schedule, they beat Northwestern, Eastern Illinois, and Weber State. They lost to Washington State at home, and they lost at Rutgers. I don't know why they're favored in this matchup. Michigan, if they're this top 10 team, why are they not favored in here? But I am going to take Michigan for the upset. After saying all of that, it's just interesting to see.
Okay. Now I see where you're going here, but you didn't take the fact that Michigan played Washington in the national championship. Didn't Michigan beat Washington in the national championship? Because last time I checked, they did. But guess what? Washington and Michigan is actually be one of those rivalry games that are going to happen right now. It's not. It's a temporary rivalry game because Washington wants revenge. They knew what happened last year. They had a chance to fill in that ring, win the championship, but they
Yeah, but
didn't.
all
So
those
they're
all those guys are gone though.
that's true, but they still have players on that team that still have that side effect. They're going to
Yeah.
want to beat Michigan, no matter if there's a player on that team. But Michigan's going to come in there, and they're yes, they're down by 2.5. But you know why? Because Washington, it's in Washington. That's why we're not in Michigan. We're in Washington. That's a whole different story. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's giving the Washington the edge. But I think Michigan, hopefully, Orgy finds more than 32 yards passing because if he doesn't, he's not winning this game. But if he finds
Mhm.
a way, he's going to win this game because that defense is actually pretty good. They got a good running game. That's the one thing Michigan can go off on is they got a good running back. Okay, but they're going to need to make that passing game worthwhile, and or just going to need to find a way to do that. And if Washington plays at their high ceiling, I do not see Michigan winning this. Even though Michigan's ranked number 10, uh, I just don't see it because Michigan's offense is not up right there. They need to find something, but if they do, they win. I still think it's a
Mhm.
close game, but I think Michigan barely pulls it out because that defense is good enough to stop Washington.
All right. So now we're going to go to another Big Ten matchup here. USC going to Minnesota. USC is favored by 8, and I think that is what they're going to do. They're going to go and win by 8 or more, in my opinion.
USC is a clear cut flavor in that game.
Yeah.
I still think Minnesota got something there because USC gets shaky at times, but Spirit Days, I think USC wins 4-1.
Hmm.
I think it's going to be by 3 points. I don't see them hitting that -8.
Oh, okay. Interesting. All
Mm-hmm.
right. Let's go to the Big 12. We've got Baylor on the road to Iowa State. Baylor is pretty beat up right now. Iowa State's on a hot streak. Iowa State is favored by 12, and that's what I think that they're going to beat that spread.
Yeah, Iowa State is the thing with this conference. It's like we thought one thing was going to happen, and everything just flipped. Utah State lost. I mean, Utah lost. BYU lost. No, BYU won. Kansas State was supposed to be good. They lost. Uh, who else? I'm losing it, but there's a good team. It's flipped now. BYU looking good. I still think
Mm-hmm.
Kansas State's favoring this, but when it comes to Iowa State, Baylor, I think Baylor's nowhere near good anymore. They're living up to the name they used to be because for the longest time, when I first started watching Big 12 football, since the conception of Big 12, Baylor's always sucked. They always had a horrible team. Then all of a sudden they grow to growth spurt out of nowhere and start doing good. Well, they're going back where they should be. Suck, suck, suck at this game. There was to be a basketball team, not a football team. Let's leave it like that. But you know what? It's going to be a great time in Iowa State, and they do win by 14 in this game.
All right. So we're going to finish it off with our buddies from Miami as they travel to Cal. And Miami, believe it or not, is favored by 10 points. So I'm going to take Cal plus 10. I don't know if Cal wins this, but I do like them plus 10 in this. Cal went on the road and beat Auburn earlier this year. So Cal has some fight in them. I'm not that impressed with Miami. I'm going to take Cal plus 10.
Wait. You tell me they're going to plus 10 because they beat Auburn? That has nothing to do say with that.
Who's
Auburn's
at
been
Auburn?
it don't matter. Oh, you put Auburn on a pedestal. Guess what? Just because they're in the SEC doesn't mean they're that great. You know.
Mm.
Okay.
I mean,
I
OU
Cal,
OU barely escaped Auburn. We reviewed to that game. Auburn outplayed OU, almost had twice as many total yards as them. Should have won that football game.
I mean,
Winning at Auburn is tough.
well, let me show how ridiculous that is to you. Guess who they just lost to? Who did Cowboys lose to? Who did Cal lose to? Florida State. Okay, you want to take
Cal
that back?
Cal is also coming
Just
off a bye.
don't care. You lost to Florida State, 14-9. Miami. Oh, this Miami is going to clobber Cal. Okay, Cal's not going to have a shot. I'm going to be turning that TV off at halftime. That's how bad the game's going to be. Okay, Miami had made mistakes, but they're not losing this. They had some mistakes. They're working on. They see film. That's what good teams do. They're going to find a way, and they're just going to beat the like just beat the snot out of these guys.
All
They're
right.
just
Well,
going to
we'll
win.
see. All right.
Yep.
Well, I guess we'll end on that one. Guys, if you got this far, if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our channel, hit that like button, let us know in the comments if our takes are trash, especially that guy over there trying to ring the notification bell for you. It lets you know that our videos come out. And if you enjoyed these takes by this Razorback and that Longhorn over there, please show us love by liking the video and continue following our content. So we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.